Welcome to the Mind of Marshall podcast, where as always we give you advanced influencing strategies with basic understandings. And today I want to look at the state of the economy because, quite frankly, it's out of control. You see, it's getting harder and harder to make profits in business these days, and that's because everybody's trying to do it. If you look around, you'll notice there's a ton of new business startups every day, and the increased competition we're seeing is putting some businesses on the steps of bankruptcy court. So being the master influence strategist that I am, I'm going to open my playbook and share a technique that allowed an advertising legend to build billions in revenue with 8 simple words. And I'll show you how you can do the same for your business in just a minute. You see, the reason so many businesses fail is because they're too fascinated with the product or service they provide. This is where the problem starts. The first thing these businesses need to do is stop selling. Now I know that sounds strange, but let me explain. You see, unlike you, your potential buyer doesn't care about your product or service. They're too interested in themselves and their own lives. The real trick to selling anything, though, is pretty simple. You need to be focused on their lives too. You need to be selling them a better life, and your product or service is nothing more than a vehicle to help them do that. The second common factor that is hurting businesses is refusing to stand out. This by no means is a new ideology, but so many businesses still fail to do it, and it is costly when so much is spent on advertising. Thirdly, is capturing the attentions of your audience, because your audience is bombarded with a myriad of different marketing claims on a daily basis. And when this constantly happens, your prospect becomes immune to it, and it just becomes background noise, which kills any chance you have of capturing attention and making a sale down the line. So these 3 problems alone are what we ultimately call Gestalt patterns. Now, Gestalt patterns was a term coined back in 1890 by Austrian psychologist Christian von Ehrenfels. His studies discovered hardwired traits in humans that helps us make sense of things. Now, as humans, we tend to look for patterns in everything we see and do. Or, put another way, we tend to group things together to make sense of things. So, anything that sounds, looks, or feels the same triggers an automatic sequence in the brain to categorize it amongst things we're already familiar with. For example, when we try a new food for the first time, instead of giving a breakdown of the taste, you might say it tastes like chicken, or it tastes like ham. Or if you see a familiar face, you might say he looks like Kevin Hart, or you sound like you're American, and so on and so on. Now, in most cases, this is fine because it helps us as humans articulate what we're trying to say. But in a marketing sense, this is bad because if your prospect thinks you're just like another business, then you ain't going to stand out and your message is going to be dismissed easily. So what I want to do is discuss a surefire way that will help you build a unique, highly targeted message every time. Because with all of these problems, there really is no place for average. And as you know, we don't do average here. So your message needs to really stand out and be heard, or it's going to go unnoticed. So you need to be showing what you can do for your customer that your competition cannot do. And it needs to be done quickly before you lose the prospect's attention. So the window you have is very limited. So this is where we use a little technique I like to call the Trout Effect. Now, Jack Trout is the godfather of branding and positioning, and his views were simple. Actually, you know what? I'll let him tell it. Listen to what he has to say.
Now, there are 4 steps in the differentiation game. 4 steps. Number 1, the competition. As I said earlier, you have to start with the competition. Arguments are never made in a vacuum. There are always competitors trying to make points of their own. So your message has to make sense in the context of the category. In other words, it's not what you want to do, it's what your competition will let you do. That's step 1. An analysis of the competition. Were they strong? Avoid strength. Were they weak? Exploit it. We'll talk more about that in marketing warfare. All right, based on that analysis, what's my point of difference? What's my differentiating idea? You're looking for something that separates you from your competitors. Trick is to find that difference and then use it to set up a benefit to your customer. Here's my point of difference, and here is the benefit of that point of difference. It's that simple. It's that simple. And it's that hard. Believe me.
Now, the best example of the Trout Effect was Russell Reeves back in 1941 when he did a promotion for M&M's chocolate. You see, at this time, the market was already flooded with other chocolates, and it was looking very saturated. Russell Reeves studied the chocolates and quickly realized that M&M's had a hard shell that stopped the chocolate from melting. This instantly stood out from the rest, so he decided to focus on that. So instead of referencing taste like everyone else, he came up with the message, "It melts in your mouth, not in your hands." Now this was a big hit, and it generated billions in revenue. And it stood out with a particular market, and that was mothers. You see, they wanted to give the kids chocolate treats, but because of the mess and the extra washing they had to do, it was more of a pain than anything else. So when M&M's came up with the concept, "It melts in your mouth, not your hands," it instantly took off, and mothers were buying it for the children and putting in the lunch boxes and so on, and the rest is history. So ask yourself, what desirable points could you highlight about your product or service that would grab the attention and make them want to know more? You see, this is a quick way of letting your audience know what you have to offer them, and you can easily attract a ton of new customers and clients to your business. Now, if you're still not sure about your customers' wants and needs, get the full breakdown by checking out Podcast 1, The SATS Method, which highlights the 3-step process to identify your best audience. Okay? Now, let's quickly summarize what we've learned today. We learned about Gestalt patterns and how they're blocking your advertising. We learned about the Trout Effect and the 8 simple words that generated billions in revenue. And that concludes today's podcast. As always, make sure you like and subscribe, and if you're having trouble implementing and you want additional help, you can apply for one-on-one training. Now, of course, this isn't free, but it will transform the way you do business like the rest of my clients. So don't wait because you're leaving money on the table. Get in touch, get involved, and start growing your business today. Okay? Right, I'll catch you on the next podcast. E.S. Marshall, over and out.